Okay, I'll be right back. Sister Queenie. Okay, she just got in. Shalom, Sister Queenie.
Shalom, my sister. Shalom.
Trusting in the shadows, those who hate us. Yeah, you are a nation, it's not a nation. The promises for you, they're trying to take you, keep you away from it. That old current chair bill, can't keep the righteous away from him. You know what I'm saying when I say him? The God of Abraham, Isaac and Jacob. But I got a story, got the Torah. Keep it 100. No shit get cold, straight out that portal. You need to notice. Why you don't notice? You need to notice. Why you don't notice? Cause you in the club on the weekend. Getting mercy with free bands. Going on with the heat is. Going out with the weekend. You better know you a king yet. I'm all about order. So don't get it twisted. You out here thinking you losing. Homie, you actually winning. Boy, you winning. We are children. We are children. With our conditions. I'm blessed with demons. We should listen. We should listen. We are children. Oh yeah. We are children. With our conditions. I'm blessed with demons. Stay out the wilderness. We should listen. We should listen. We are the children of the captivity. See our condition. Look how we live in. Look at our men and our women and children. We gotta quit sinning. Get in the spirit and get out to feeling. We on a mission. See the great army, the kingdom's division. Brothers and sisters, let's go. This what we've been waiting for. Drop everything and let's go. Boom, boom. Break the down, make it boom. Don't you know you are like gold? This ain't the land of our rest. Don't you wanna go home? Sing a new song from slave ship to spaceship. From other nations to our home. Look, I'm grown. But that time is this where it belongs. Stay with the children at home. Real men say kingdoms is wrong. They couple women and stones. Family go. All again, let's get it on. The kingdom's within you. We got it all to build our own. Won't make them build it on for us. See, I think family hustle. We all should be on. Go. We are the children. Yeah, we are the children. Look at our conditions. The blessing of healing. Straight out the wilderness. Moses with us. We should listen. We should listen. We are the children. Yeah, we are the children. Look at our conditions. The blessing of healing. Straight out the wilderness. Moses with us. We should listen. We should listen.
All right, sisters. It looks like everybody is on. Let me shut that off. So I just played a song to clear the air. You know, the devil tried to steal tonight, but we're not letting him steal it. So we can go on and get started, ladies.
Okay.
Want to give our praises to the Most High Yahweh and his what the world ignorantly calls God, and his only begotten Son, which the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. And I'm getting some lag for some reason. If everybody can mute, I'm getting a lot of kick. All right, sisters. So we know tonight's topic is our foremothers and their faith that they had in the Most High. So I know we all kind of had assigned foremothers for tonight, and it's still lagging. And hopefully we can bring everybody out. Are y'all hearing that? It's like a what is that? Hold on. Okay, so I'll go and start with Judith, unless other sisters want to start, because Judith, we all know that was a very long story, so it's going to be a little lengthy. If other sisters want to start, we can do it that way, unless y'all want me to just start with Judith.
Okay, you can start with Judith.
Okay, all right, y'all. I'm still trying to figure out how to fix it over here because I'm getting a lot of feedback.
That's Satan still.
Yeah.
That's the type of games he play. He do things like that, make all kind of noises and stuff. He do.
Judith is fine with me. I was talking and I forgot I was muted. So I'm gonna mute again so I can listen and learn.
Sis, you hear her? Mute your mic.
Shalom.
All right, let's go to the book of Judith, the 8th chapter. That's where we're gonna start at. All right. Have everybody read the story of Judith? So everybody know. Sister Queenie, no, you haven't. Who else haven't?
I haven't either.
I haven't.
I read about
Me neither.
All right. Well, I'm gonna just give some quick accounts, kind of like what went on leading up to Judah. Salakia, y'all, but this is so off tonight. All right, testing. Okay, we good tonight. All right, so I'm gonna just, since everybody don't know the story, I was gonna start at the 8th chapter where Judith, pretty much where she started using her faith to rise up for her nation of people, to stand for them. So I'm gonna just go back and just give like really quick accounts as to like what went on that led up to Judith having to stand up for her nation of people. So we can go to chapter 1. So this was during the time of Nebuchadnezzar. He was the king of the Assyrians at that time. And he started war with another king. And when he started war, he pretty much requested other inhabitants dwelling in the surrounding area to come and stand with him, to fight with him. And so when they had no regards to his request, it really angered him. So I'm gonna just read that precept real quick so we know what's going on. So that's Judith chapter 1 and 11 and 12. And it say, but all the inhabitants of the land made light of the commandment of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Assyrians. Neither went they with him to the battle. They were not afraid of him. Yea, he was before them as one man. And they sent away his ambassador from them without effect and with disgrace. Therefore, Nebuchadnezzar was very angry with all this country and swore by his throne and kingdom that he would surely be avenged upon all the coast of Sicilia, Damascus, Syria, and he would slay with the sword all the inhabitants of the land of Moab, the children of Ammon, and all Judea, and all that were in Egypt, till ye come to the borders of the two seas. So the children of Israel dwelt in the land of Judea. So that automatically, he pretty much proclaimed war against us when that happened. So the first decree that he made was, we can get it in chapter 2 and 1, and it say in the 18th year, the 2 and 20th day of the first month, there was talk in the house of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Assyria, that he should, as he said, avenge himself on all the earth. So he called unto all his officers and all his nobles and communicated with them in secret council. Salakia, in secret council, and concluded the afflicting of the world, earth out of his own mouth. Then he made a decree to destroy all flesh that did not obey his commandment. So his commandment was, let's go to chapter 3 and 8. So pretty much we just fast forward, and he started to go into different lands, and he was slaying these people, killing them, taking over their land, basically. So verse 8, it say, yet he did cast down their frontiers and cut down their groves, for he had decreed to destroy all the gods of the land, that all nations should worship Nebuchadnezzar only, and that all tongues and tribes should call upon him as God. So sisters, do y'all see what the issue is? He pretty much wanted us to worship him, which is idolatry. That's breaking the commandments of the Most High. So we wasn't getting down with that. So we can pretty much fast forward to Salakia. We can fast forward to chapter. I'm trying to skip through it, y'all, because I was just gonna start at chapter 8. So we can drop down chapter 7, verse 21. So basically, Holofernes, he was the chief of Nebuchadnezzar, and he had got word from one of his ambassadors that Israel pretty much set up to make war against them. That basically they stood for the word of the Lord, that they was not going to bow down and worship Nebuchadnezzar as their God. And when they heard that, they pretty much decided that they was going to go up and slaughter them, pretty much. So we can go to chapter 7 and 21, and it say, and the cisterns were emptied, and they had not water to drink. They're filled for one day, for they gave them drink by measure. Therefore, their young children were out of heart, and their women and young men fainted for thirst and fell down in the streets of the city and by the passage of the gates. And there was no longer any strength in them. So this is what was going on with the children of Israel. So what Nebuchadnezzar and his men did was they surrounded the Israelites. They cut off their passage to their water. They stood out outside the gates and cut off the passage to their water where they couldn't get water. So at this point, what they was doing was rationing water. And they literally had got down to the end of their water. So the Israelites started to become faint and discouraged and really didn't know what to do at that point. So we can drop down to verse 30. It said, then Ozias to them, brethren, be of good courage. Let us not endure 5 days, in which space the Lord our God may turn his mercy towards us. for he will not forsake us utterly. And if these days pass, then there come no help unto us. I will do according to your word. And he despised the people, every one to their own charge. And they went unto the walls of the tower of the city and sent the women and children into their houses. And they were very low brought in the city. So pretty much their faith was leading them. That's what was going on. And they was kind of deciding like, well, maybe we should just give ourselves over to a spoil unto this nation and bow down and worship him. And once you do that, you're going to break all the commandments of the Most High, because you just broke the greatest commandment anyways, which was, serving another God. So this leads up to chapter 8. Word got back to Judith what was going on, that basically Ozias was getting ready to give the children of Israel and their land over to these heathens. That's what was going on. So let's go to chapter 8 and verse. We can go to verse let's start at verse 4. So it says, so Judith was a widow in her house 3 years and 4 months. And she made her a tent upon the top of her house and put on sackcloth upon her loins and wore her widow's apparel. So basically Judith's husband had passed away. It was just her. She was a widow. She was in mourning. Not only was she in mourning, she pretty much put on sackcloth so she wasn't, her mind was not fixated on getting remarried or trying to commit to another man that her husband had been gone. Her main focus was to set her attention on the Lord and all the things above. Like she had no intentions on doing any of that. So verse 6 is saying, and she fasted all the days of her widowhood, save the evening of the Sabbath and the Sabbaths and the evening of new moons and the evening of the new moons and the feast and the solemn days. So those was the days she didn't fast on. But aside from that, she fasted for 3 years. Well, she fasted for all her widowhood. So a couple of characteristics that I just wanted to point out about Judith, just as much what we read, is this was a woman that literally, this is my perception of what I read. She was a woman who had lost her Lord. She didn't want to remarry. She literally went into like a deep mourning because she had lost the very closest thing, the most important thing that was important in her world. And so with that being said, she girded her loins with sackcloth, y'all. So when you put sackcloth on, that literally, you are afflicting your flesh. You're not seeking for pleasure. You're not seeking for anything that's pleasurable or feeling good. She's in a state of mourning. So she is literally fasting every single day. So you got to understand, Judith, her mind, she on a whole nother different level. She is not on a level that like a normal daughter of Zion would be on because of the death of her husband. And the fasting, spiritually, her spirit is so strong right now. She done tapped into something different. So with that, I just seen the loyalty that she had for her own Lord, where, once your Lord died, you can remarry, but that was not an option for her. That just wasn't an option for her. She was tied into her husband and she didn't want to be with anybody else. So we can go ahead and fast forward to some of my notes that I had. So I wanted to just bring out basically how she set her affections on the things above. And she literally was pulling on the Most High. Nothing else. She was pulling on the Most High. Any and everything that she did revolved around serving the Most High. She had a great fear for him. So you got to understand, her wisdom was on a whole nother level. Something we probably never even seen today, because you just don't see that kind of wisdom that our foremothers had on the earth again today. You don't see that. So I just wanted to grab a couple precepts based off what she was going through. Colossians 3 and 2, real quick. He said, if ye then be risen with Yahweh Shai, seek those things which are above, where Yahweh Shai sitteth on the right hand of God. Set your affections on the things above and not the things on the earth. So like I said, she lost everything that was near and dear to her. So not the only thing she was thinking about was pleasing the Lord. Her affections were set on the things above. And then James 4:10, the state that she was in, nothing else meant anything to her except for 4:10 and say, humble yourself in the sight of the Lord and he shall lift you up. Judith was at a very low state, a state of like humility and humbleness. She didn't have on apparel that was pleasing to the eye. You know, if you can really read into the scriptures, she wasn't all done up looking beautiful or any of that. She was mourning. She had on poor clothing. She didn't do anything to herself to make any man attracted to her because that's not what her focus was on. And after reading the whole story, I just seen like she figured out what her purpose was after her Lord had passed away. And she figured it out real quick. She literally was like a sacrifice for Israel. She sacrificed herself for Israel is what she did. And that was a great love that she showed for her people. And I mean, who would do that? Will any sisters like stand up and do what Judith did today? Genuinely speaking from the heart, would y'all stand up and sacrifice your own body and soul to save your people? Because that's the love we're supposed to have for each other. So let's go to verse 7. So chapter 8, verse 7. It says she was also of a goodly countenance and very beautiful to behold. And her husband Manasseh had left her gold and silver and manservants and maidservants and cattle and land, and she remained upon them. So he loved Judith. He left her a lot. He left her a great inheritance behind. But again, her only focus was on pleasing the Lord now. She was full of wisdom. She had no ill name. I don't know who that is. Salakia. There was no ill name brought up against her. So in Israel, when we come into this truth, what was spoken of you of the world, that no longer stands. Because when you come into this truth and you be converted, everything is wiped away of your past. Now it all starts now when you start to keep the commandments. So understand that when you coming into this truth, your walk is very important. You have to walk circumspectly, and no ill-got anything should be brought up against your name. Yeah, people will persecute you and lie and bear false witness, but we all know that a lie won't stand. I'm talking about ill-gotten that's true. You know what I'm saying? Something being brought against your name that's actually true. That's what you don't want, because a bad name, it'll ruin you. And it's true. And you won't be able to get rid of it. So I just wanted to make known of that. Let's go to Proverbs 22:1, just to precept it real quick. It says, a good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, and loving favor rather than silver and gold. So you want a good name above great riches. And you want love and favor above silver and gold. And that's what Judith had. And that's what you see as you go through the story. She had great favor from the Most High. She pleased them. What I thought was so cold-blooded when I read this story, everything that Judith asked for in her prayer when she was talking to the Most High, it came to pass. The Most High, he grants her everything that she had asked for. But you know, Judith asked for these things out of faith. She wasn't just opening her mouth, mumbling and asking and speaking whatever, not expecting it to happen, because we know if you pray and you ask for something, you're supposed to ask that and believe that you will receive it. She believed, and everything that she asked for, it was carried out and it was done. The Most High allowed her to get the victory. Let's go to, and then the wisdom that she had. Let's go to because you know wisdom in a person's speech. When they open their mouth and they talk, you know if they got wisdom or if they don't. So that the scriptures don't lie about that. Let's go to Proverbs 1:11 and 10. She feared the Lord greatly, and it says that. Let me see if I can grab that account real quick. Yeah, right here, verse 8. So chapter 8, verse 8, it says, and there was none that gave her an ill word, for she feared God greatly. Sisters, if you fear God greatly, what exactly are you doing? Aren't you keeping the commandments?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You would keep the commandments.
You're keeping the commandments. So if you fear God greatly, we know that the fear of the Lord is what?
The fear of the Lord.
Beginning
is
of wisdom.
Beginning of wisdom.
The beginning of wisdom. And she had great wisdom. And she also had great fear of the Lord. That's where her wisdom came from. But that was beautiful. But I wanted to bring that out. Psalms 111 and 10. It says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding have all they that do his commandments. Her understanding was great. Her wisdom was great. Her fear for the Lord was great. Judith is somebody to strive after, to be like.
Yeah.
Like after reading that story, I'm just like evaluating myself like, oh, I gotta check myself here, 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 and here. Like she on a whole nother level. She on a whole nother level, a level that we supposed to be thinking of. Not the level like that we think on today is nowhere near the levels our foremothers was thinking on. When they was thinking great, they was thinking mighty. They was not thinking small. They was not thinking small. They weren't thinking about sabotaging their sister. They weren't thinking about competition. Man, these women was thinking about great things. They was thinking about their reward in the kingdom. They was thinking about putting the work in for the Lord. And one thing, reading through all the foremothers that I love so beautifully, that I seen every last one of our foremothers do, they so meek and humble. If you just read through the precepts, you can just see like how meek and humble they was through their speech, how they responded to their Lord. That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing, and that's a gift from the Most High. Only he can put that in you. But we all can obtain that through practice, because we're here rehearsing righteous acts, right? So it's obtainable. We back on the earth. So we knew this thing once before. We just got to get back to there. But that's beautiful. I just wanted to point that out. That's so beautiful. They spirit, they meek and humble spirit. That's a beautiful thing. All right, let's drop down to verse 8, or not verse, chapter 8, 9 through 11. Now, when she heard the evil words of the people against the governor, that they fainted for lack of water, for Judith had heard all the words that Osiah had spoken unto them, that he was sworn to deliver the city unto the Assyrians after 5 days. Then she sent her waiting woman that had the government of all things that she had to call Osias and Chalbris and Charmis, the ancient of the city. And they came unto her, and she said unto them, hear me now, O ye governors of the inhabitants of Bethaluia, for your words that ye have spoken before the people this day are not right, touching this oath which ye made and pronounced between God and you, and have promised to deliver the city to our enemies unless within these days the Lord turn to help you. Don't that sound off? How are we gonna put the Most High on the time frame? Lord, if you don't help in 5 days, then we're gonna do this. We're gonna move when we want to move. Basically, that's what that was. But just another beautiful account, because you know what Judith did? She contended for the word. She contended for the faith. She contended for the gospel. She contended for her people. You're not about to do none of that. That's how she was. You're not gonna deliver us over to these heathens just because your faint is going away, because y'all faint, because y'all the water is leaving, because we barely have any water to drink. You ready? Wait a minute. We know ain't nothing new under the sun. So if this happened before, sisters, don't y'all think this about to happen again? This story is a beautiful account. We got to keep that in mind. And we also have to learn from our people of the past, the things that they didn't do right. We have to learn and make sure we don't repeat those things.
Right.
You can't just be like, oh, I get a gospel up because I don't have no food, or I get a gospel up because I got a family of 7, but we got 1 bottle of water left and we don't know when we're gonna get our next drink of water. So how about we just go to Babylon, the king here in Babylon, and we bow. We bow down. Let's go bow down. We only got 1 bottle of water. So man, I respect Judith to the fullest for standing up for the people, man, for her people. Because she like, you going off. You're going off, and and the rest of my people going off. To want to just deliver us over to these heathens. So let's go down to, I'm kind of jumping a little bit forward, y'all, because it's 16 chapters. So I'm just trying to bring y'all forward to the whole story. Let's go to chapter 8 and verse 15. For if he will not help us, this is Judith speaking, for if he will not help us within these 5 days, he hath power to defend us when he will, even every day, or to destroy us before our enemies. This her faith kicking in now. She talking that talk, and her faith is kicking in. 16, do not bind the counsels of the Lord our God, for God is not as man, that he may be threatened, neither is he as the son of man, that he should be wavering. Therefore, let us wait for our salvation of him and call upon him to help us, and he will hear our voice if it please him. If it please him. So that talk that they talking, the Most High like, y'all got me messed up. Y'all talking about breaking my commandments, going to go worship Nebuchadnezzar. Y'all ready to eat with everything he throw at y'all because y'all running out of water. Most High ain't messing with them right now. He's not messing with them because the words that they're speaking is not pleasing to his ears. So I just wanted to get a couple of counts on, I got some precepts to go with that. Let's go to Psalms 123 and 2. And it reads, behold, as the eyes of the servants look unto the hand of their masters, and as their eyes of the maiden unto the hand of her mistress, so our eyes wait upon the Lord our God, until that he have mercy upon us. We supposed to wait. We supposed to wait. Even going into Jacob's trouble, sisters, when stuff getting tough, when food getting low, when water almost gone, we're supposed to wait on the Lord, man. We ain't supposed to be like our people that was ready to just give themselves over to spoil, ready to bow down. Just bow. Mm-hmm. Just bow. Let's go to Psalms 27 and 14. It says, wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thy heart. Wait, I say, wait on the Lord. The Most High, he'll put his people in a predicament, and he'll make it look like there's no way out, because he's testing us. It's a test. He want to see who's not going to break his commandments. He want to see who's going to wait on him to come and deliver you out of your tribulations. Y'all, this is getting ready to approach us. Our faith, I don't know what sister's faith is like. And even I believe I got good faith, but I need stronger faith. For the times that's to come, we got to be building our faith up in these days. Because everything is not a joke. Everything ain't, ha ha and he. It's gonna get real soon. I mean, just look around. Just look around. All right, let's jump to chapter 9, verse 10 through 14. So after Judith said what she said, now she finna speak out of her mouth and put on the Most High what she needs. I think this is so beautiful. How many sisters can testify, like, when they pray, specifically, not somewhere near close, but specifically you ask for something specific and the Most High grants your wish? That's a beautiful thing. That means he's hearkening. He can hear you. He's listening.
That's right.
Everything she asked for, it was granted. I thought that was, look, y'all, I know I keep on saying that, but that was just so amazing to me. That was so amazing to me. So verse 10, it says, smite. Let's go at 1, verse 9. Behold their pride, and send thy wrath upon their heads. Give unto my hand, which am a widow, the power that I have conceived. Smite by the deceit of my lips, the servant with the prince, and the prince with the servant. Break down their stateliness by the hand of a woman. For thy power standeth not in the multitude, nor thy might in strong man. For thou art a God of the afflicted, and helper of the oppressed, an upholder of the weak, a protector of the forlorn, a savior of them that are without hope. That's us, y'all. That's us. I pray thee, O God, of my father, and God of the inheritance of Israel, Lord of the heavens and earth, creator of the waters, king of every creature, hear thou my prayer. Make my speech and deceit to be their wound and strife, who have proposed cruel things against thy covenant in thy hallowed house, and against the top of Zion, and against the house of the possession of thy children, and make every nation and tribe to acknowledge that thou art the God of all power and might, and that there is none other that protected the people of Israel but thou. Not only is she talking that talk, but she like, Lord, remember this. Look, remember this. This is what they trying to get us to do. This is what they're trying to get us to go against. They trying to get us to break your commandments. And then she's specifically asking how she want to annihilate her enemy. I got to get my prayers up like that. Because when I pray, I'm not praying like that. I need to be praying for the destruction of our enemies. Specifically what they're doing to us. And I don't think enough of us is praying like that. All right, let's I got one precept to go with that. Mark 11 and 24. All right, Mark 11 and 24, and it reads, therefore I say unto you, what things soever ye desire when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them. Judith wasn't playing. Everything she was speaking, she meant it. And she believed that it was going to come to pass with everything inside of her. That's beautiful. All right, let's go to 10, verse 11. No, 10, verse 1 through 4. It said, now after that she had ceased to cry unto God of Israel and had made an end of all these words, she rose where she had fallen down and called her maid and went down into the house in the which she abode in the Sabbath days and in her feast days, and pulled off her sackcloth which she had on, and put off the garments of her widowhood, and washed her body all over with water, and anointed herself with precious ointments, and braided her hair of her head, and put on attire upon it, and put on garments of gladness, wherewith she clad during the life of Manasseh her husband. And she took sandals upon her feet, and put about her bracelets, and her chains, and her rings, and her earrings, and all the ornaments, and decked herself bravely to allure the eyes of all men that should see her. She used what she had to save her people, but she was using it for righteousness. She wasn't using it for wickedness. She knew what the Most High had given her, and she also knew that the power that was inside of her to be able to overthrow these wicked men. She already knew. She was ahead of the game, man. I got a couple of scriptures to go with that. 2 Corinthians 5 and 7. It says, for we walk by faith and not by sight. Judith was getting into it. She wasn't just sitting there crying out to the Lord, asking what she needs to be done, asking him to hear her. No, after she got done crying and praying, she went and got herself ready so she can go and overthrow this kingdom, to overthrow them. So faith without works is dead. James 2 and 20. I just brought that out. Faith without works is dead. But let's go to it. Or James 2 and 20. I said 4 and 20. Slovakia. Let's start at verse 19. Thou believest that there is one God. Thou doest well. The devils also believe and tremble. But wilt thou know, O vain man, that faith without works is dead? So when we pray to the Most High, what we ask him for, we can't just ask for something and then sit back and kick our feet up and think he's going to drop it into our lap. Is that what Judah did? Nope. No, Judah, she highly prepared herself. I believe she even prepared herself to die for the cause, for the people, for her nation of people. She was willing to lay her life down. If it took her life being taken, she was willing to do that. Mm-hmm. So we can't be all comfortable praying to the Most High, asking stuff, and then sit back and put our hands behind our head and put our feet back and be like, okay, make it happen. No. Okay. The Most High ain't dealing with that. Let's drop down to verse 11 through 13. Chapter 10, verse 11 through 13. So this after she got herself ready. Now she going over into their land to do what she prayed to do. It say, thus they went straight forth in the valley. And the first watch the Assyrians met her and took her and asked her, of what people art thou? And whence comest thou? And whither thou wast go? And she said, I am a woman of the Hebrews, and I am fled from them, for they shall be given you to be consumed. And I am coming before Holofernes, the chief captain of your army, to declare words of truth, and I will show him a way whereby he shall go and win all the hill country without losing the body or life of any one of his men. You see, she's speaking at deceit already. It sounds so real. I was reading this story and I was like, hold on. She got me believing what she's talking about. It's so believable. Like when you really get into the story, you like, dang, it sounds believable. But she prayed for the deceit in her tongue to destroy these men. That's why it sounds so believable. Let's drop down to verse 19. It say, and they wondered at her beauty and admired the children of Israel because of her, and every one sighed to his neighbor, who would despise this people that have among them such women. Surely it is not good that one man of them be left, who being let go might deceive the whole world. So he kind of was like, wait a minute, you know what I'm saying? But she's so beautiful. Like, I just can't get past how beautiful she is. It don't even really matter what she say. She's just so beautiful. I'm just stuck off her beauty. The Most High, he did that to them. He put spirits on them. He confounded them. He dumbed down them, man. He made them, man, believe every word that Judith was speaking to them. Every word, and she played it. She played it to the T. Let's drop down to 23. It's saying, when Judith was come before him and his servants, they all marveled at her beauty of her countenance. And she fell down upon her face and did reverence unto him. And his servants took her up. So she played the role. She went in there. She was humble. She was meek. She was submissive. She did everything that she needed to do to get close to the chief so she can annihilate him. In today's modern day today, y'all, what is that? Can a sister tell me the role she playing right now? What is that in modern Babylon today? What is that?
Acting.
Huh?
Acting.
I can't hear you, sis.
Acting. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
Acting.
Acting, yeah, but what else, y'all? When they do the drug bust, when they go in, they undercover. Don't they get women and they play that undercover role and they play it to the T. It's so believable. But she knows she coming in deceit. But that's the point. That's the job she picked, to deceive you, to make you believe it. And Judah played that role. She played it to the T. Gotta give it to her. She played it to the T. All right, so we can go to chapter 11. You know what? I got a precept to go with that, how they marvel at her beauty so greatly. These men were foolish, and they don't know, they was foolish. But check this out. Let's go to Proverbs. What does Proverbs say about beauty? I had to laugh when I pulled this precept, because they were so stuck off how beautiful she was. They couldn't even think for themselves. Proverbs 31 and 30. It said, favor is deceit. And then she gained favor among them. But favor is deceit. She went with a deceitful mouth, a deceitful tongue to them. It say favor is deceit and beauty is vain. But a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. Judith feared the Most High. Yes, that's why she was able to deceive these men. Like, this is so beautiful, y'all. I'm over here. I'm so excited about this story. I was sitting on the bed. I was so excited reading this. Okay, let's drop down to chapter 11 and 15. So this her speaking more deceit to them to make them believe why she's there. It says, now When they shall bring them word, they will forthwith do it, and they shall be given thee to be destroyed the same day. Wherefore I, thine handmaid, knowing all this, am fled from their presence. And God hath sent me to work these things with thee, whereat all the earth shall be astonished, and whosoever shall hear it. For thy servant is religious, and serveth the God of heaven day and night. Now, therefore, my Lord, I will remain with thee, and thy servant will go out by night unto the valley, and I will pray unto God, and he will tell me when they have committed their sin, and I will come and show it unto thee. Then thou shalt go forth with all thine army, and there shall be none of them that shall resist thee. The setup so cold.
Yeah.
The setup is so cold. She like, my Lord will tell me when they have sinned against him, and then I'm gonna let you know, and then y'all can go and get us. The setup was so cold and believable. I got a couple of precepts to go with that. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and 11. Okay, 2 Thessalonians 2 and 11. It say, and for this cause, God shall send them strong delusions, that they should believe a lie. That's what's going on right now. The Most High sent them strong delusions, boy. They believe in every word. They just drinking it up. And then let's go to Psalms 118, 6 through 10. It says, the Lord is on my side. I will not fear. What can man do unto me? The Lord taketh my part with them that help me. Therefore shall I see my desire upon them that hate me. It is better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in man. It is better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in princes. All nations compass me about, but in the name of the Lord will I destroy them. Ain't that what she did? That's beautiful. Man, that's so beautiful. All right. Let's drop down, or let's jump to chapter 13 and 4 through 10, y'all. So this is the good part. This is the part I love. It says, so all went forth, and none was left in the bed chamber, neither little nor great. Then Judith, standing by his bed, said in her heart, O Lord God of all power, look at this present upon the works of my hands for the exhortation of Jerusalem. For now is the time to help thy inheritance and to execute my enterprise to the destruction of my enemies, which are risen against us. When she came to the pillar of the bed, which was at Holofernes' head, and took down his function from thence, and approached to his bed, and took hold of his hair, the hair of his head, and said, strengthen me, O Lord God of Israel, this day. And she smote twice upon his neck with all her might, and she took away his head from him. She did it. She did it, y'all.
That's real mighty. That's real mighty.
Man, wow. That spirit, I'm trying to tell y'all, that spirit right there, consistence, look, she did it, y'all. And I know that was so long ago, but I'm excited. Like, she just did that thing. She did it. You know what I'm saying? That's so
in the Most High, you know.
Come. The Most High strengthened her to do that.
Yes,
he strengthened. Now that's faith, y'all. That's
Yes.
being able to do something you don't even know that you can do it, but you know by faith, you believe that the Most High, he's going to cause you to walk through this thing, to fulfill his purpose, and to carry out whatever it is he calls you to execute.
Right.
That you're going to do it. Because we are nothing without him. You know, we
So
need
we
him
are.
to do this.
Mhm.
That's so beautiful. Her faith is amazing to me.
It was unwavering.
Con. So I end up grabbing some precepts to go along with that. Psalms 91 and 5. Or 91, 1 through 5, Salaki. It says, he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in him will I trust. Surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. 1,000 shall fall at my side, and 10,000 at my right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. Only with thy eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked, because thou hast made the Lord, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy inhabitants. Ain't that beautiful, y'all? That Most High kept Judith through the whole everything. He kept her. And then let's go jump down to let's go to 16, 19 through 25. So this is after she actually I want to get the account of one of his men that actually came and told the children of Israel what Holofernes had plotted against them. So check this out. It's 14 and 6. 14, 6 through 7. Archior, I think that's how you say his name. It says, then they called Archior out of the house of Ozias. And when he was come and saw the head of Holofernes in a man's hand and in the assembly of the people, he fell down on his face and his spirit failed. But when they had recovered him, he fell at Judith's feet and reverenced her and said, blessed art thou in all the tabernacle of Judah, in all the nations which hearing thy name shall be astonished. He couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe she took his head, not a woman. That just tell you, the Most High, he'll use women. He'll use women. But that don't mean women are over men. But that don't mean the Most High won't use women neither.
Right.
Too many accounts. So let's go to Romans 12 and 21. It says, be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good. And what she did, she overcame evil with good. She did what she had to do for her nation of people. So let's go to chapter 16, 19 through 25. It says, Judith also dedicated all the stuff of Holofernes, which the people had given her, and gave the canopy which she had taken out of his bed chamber for a gift unto the Lord. So the people continued feasting in Jerusalem before the sanctuary for the space of 3 months, and Judith remained with them. They turned up for 3 months, y'all, after she chopped his head off. They turned up for the Lord for 3 months after she chopped his head off. That's what I'm talking about. That's a real party.
Right.
Verse 21. After this time, everyone returned to his own inheritance, and Judah went to Bethulia.
Bethulia.
Right, calm. and remained in her own possession, and was in her time honorable in all the country. And many desired her, but none knew her all the days of her life after that Manasseh, her husband, was dead and was gathered to his people. Y'all see that? Talk about loyalty. Loyalty. Say what?
Yeah.
Say what? She didn't know another man. She didn't know another man. She stayed loyal to her Lord. She didn't desire another husband. She was intertwined with that man. They was still one flesh and he was gone. So she gave everything to the Lord. Now, what is there to give to any other flesh on this earth? She didn't want to give. They desire her. Say, I'm going to read it again, sisters. I'm going to read this again. And many desired her, but none knew her all the days of her life. After that, Manasseh, her husband, was dead and was gathered to his people. Loyalty with a big capital L. But she increased more and more in honor and waxed old in her husband's house, being 105 years old, and made her maid free. So she died in Bethulia. They buried her in the cave of her husband Manasseh. In the house of Israel, lamented her 7 days, and before she died, she did distribute her goods to all them that were nearest of kindred to Manasseh, her husband, and to them that were the nearest of her kindred. And there was none that made the children of Israel any more afraid in the days of Judith, nor a long time after her death. That's beautiful, man. She did her thing. Did her thing. I got one last precept to go with that. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful story, sisters. And I did my very best to put the pieces together so y'all can see what's going on. But y'all got to go back and read this story. I mean, read it all. Like, it's so much good stuff in this. Look, I just gave y'all what I could give y'all. But let's go to Psalms 149, 6 through 9.
Six and 9?
Yeah, 6 through 9. Okay. Psalms 149, 6 through 9. You know what? We're going to start at verse 1. Praise ye the Lord. Sing unto the Lord a new song, in his praise in the congregation of saints. Let Israel rejoice in him that made him. Let the children of Zion be joyful in their king. Let them praise his name in the dance. Let them sing praises unto him with the timbrel and harp. For the Lord taketh pleasure in his people. He will beautify the meek with salvation. Let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud upon their beds. Let the high praises of God be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand, to execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishments upon the people, to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters iron, to execute upon them the judgment written. This honor have all his saints. Praise you, the Lord. All praises to the Most High. That got me, y'all, on fire. We're ready to execute judgment upon these heathens. So that concludes Judith, y'all. I hope y'all got the grasp of the story.
Yes.
Gone. All praises to the Most High. All right. Who's next? I know we got more foremothers to bring out.
Okay, I'll go next.
Fine, sis.
We're going to stay in Apocrypha. We're going to talk about the mother with her 7 sons. 2 Maccabees, the 7th chapter.
Okay.
Seven through what?
We're going to read the whole chapter.
Okay, 2 Maccabees.
We'll go swiftly since, you know. Y'all ready?
Sis.
Okay.
All right.
2 Maccabees chapter 7. It came to pass also that 7 brethren with their mother were taken and compelled by the king against the law to taste swine's flesh, and were tormented with scourges and whips. So it's abominable for us to eat swine's flesh, but touch it or anything like that. And this is what they were trying to get them to do. Verse 2. But one of them that spake first said thus, what wouldest thou ask or learn of us? We are ready to die rather than to transgress the laws of our fathers. Like, we're not getting ready to do that. We're not getting ready to eat these abominable things. We're not going to transgress the laws. Then the king, being in a rage, commanded pans and cauldrons to be made hot, which forthwith being heated, he commanded to cut off the tongue of him that spake first, and to cut off the utmost parts of his body, the rest of his brethren and his mother looking on. Now when he was thus maimed in all his members, he commanded him, being yet alive, to be brought to the fire, and to be fried in the pan. And as the vapor of the pan was for a good space dispersed, they exhorted one another with the mother to die manfully, saying thus, the Lord God looketh upon us, and in truth have comfort in us, as Moses in his song, which witnessed to their faces, declared, saying, and he shall be comforted in his servants. So when the first was dead, after this manner, they brought the second to make him a mocking stock. And when they had pulled off the skin of his head with the hair, they asked him, wilt thou eat before thou be punished throughout every member of thy body? But he answered in his own language, the Hebrew tongue, and said, La'ah, no. Wherefore he had also received the next torment in order as the former did. And when he was at the last gasp, he said, thou like a fury takest us out of this present life, but the King of the world shall raise us up, who have died for his laws unto everlasting life. After him was the third made a mocking stock, and when he was required, he put out his tongue, and that right soon holding forth his hands manfully, and said courageously, these I have from heaven, and for his laws I despise them, and from him I hope to receive them again. Insomuch that the king and they that were with him marveled at the young man's courage, for that he nothing regarded the pains. Verse 13. Now when the man was dead also, they tormented and mangled the fourth in like manner. So when he was ready to die, he said thus, it is good, being put to death by men, to look for hope from God, to be raised up again by him. As for thee, thou shalt have no resurrection to life. Afterward, they brought the fifth also and mangled him. Then looked he unto the king and said, thou hast power over men. Thou art corruptible. Thou doest what thou wilt. Yet think not that our nation is forsaken of God, but abide a while and behold this. Okay, my page is gone. Okay, behold his great power, how he will torment thee and thy seed. After him also they brought the sixth, who being ready to die said, be not deceived without cause, for we suffer these things for ourselves, having sinned against our God. Therefore marvelous things are done unto us. But think not thou that takest in hand to strive against God, that thou shalt escape unpunished. But the mother was marvelous above all, and worthy of honorable memory. For when she saw her 7 sons slain within the space of one day, she bare it with a good courage, because of the hope that she had in the Lord. Yes, she exhorted every one of them in her own language, filled with courageous spirits, and stirring up her womanish thoughts with a manly stomach. She said unto them, I cannot tell how you came into my womb, for I neither gave you breath nor life, neither was it I that formed the members of every one of you, but doubtless the Creator. of the world, who formed the generations of man and found out the beginning of all things, will also of his own mercy give you breath and life again, as you now regard not your own selves for his law's sake. Now Antiochus, thinking himself despised and suspecting it to be a reproachful speech, whilst the youngest was yet alive, did not only exhort him by words, but also assured him with oaths that he would make him both a rich and a happy man if he would turn from the laws of his fathers, and that also he would take him for his friend and trust him with the affairs. And that's what they always do with those smooth words. I'm going to offer you this and that and the other. If you just turn from your God, this is what he said. But when the young man would in no case hearken unto him, the king called his mother and exhorted her that she would counsel the young man to save his life. And when he had exhorted her with many words, she promised him that she would counsel her son. But she, bowing herself towards him, laughing the cruel tyrant to scorn, spake in her country language on this manner: "O my son, have pity upon me that I bare thee 9 months in my womb, and gave thee suck 3 years, and nourished thee, and brought thee up unto this age, and endured the troubles of education. I beseech thee, my son, look upon the heaven and the earth, and all that is therein, and consider that God made them of things that were not, and so was mankind made likewise. Fear not this tormentor, but being worthy of thy brother, take thy death, that I may receive thee again in mercy with thy brethren." While she was yet speaking these words, the young man said, "Whom wait ye for? I will not obey the king's commandment, but I will obey the commandment of the law that was given unto our fathers by Moses. And thou hast been the author of all mischief against the Hebrews, shall not escape the hands of God. For we suffer because of our sins. And though the living Lord be angry with us a little while for our chastening and correction, yet shall he be at one again with his servants. But thou, O godless man, and of all other most wicked, be not lifted up without a cause, nor puffing up with uncertain hopes, lifting up thy hand against the servants of God. For thou hast not yet escaped the judgment of Almighty God, who seeth all things. For our brethren, who now have suffered a short pain, are dead under God's covenant of everlasting life. But thou, through the judgment of God, shall receive just punishment for thy pride. But I, as my brother, offer up my body and life for the laws of our fathers, beseeching God that he would speedily be merciful unto our nation, and that thou by torments and plagues mayest confess that he alone is God, and that in me and my brethren the wrath of the Almighty, which is justly brought upon all our nation, may cease." Then the king, being in a rage, handled him worse than all the rest, and took it grievously that he was mocked. So this man died undefiled, and put his whole trust in the Lord. Last of all, after the sons, the mother died. Let this be enough now to have spoken concerning the adulterous feast and the extreme tortures. The faith was unbelievable in all of them, the brothers and the mother.
And the mother.
Mm-hmm. And this is what we have to strive to be. We have to put our trust in the Lord. So let's go to Proverbs 3 and 5.
Proverbs.
Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not into the own understanding. Right. The time's gonna get hard. The perilous times are coming. Ain't no telling what they have in store for us. But you have to keep your faith in the Most High through it all, no matter what they come with. You must endure. We got to keep our faith. Cannot faint. Don't waver. And let this be an example to all of us, that we have to keep our eyes on salvation. We have to trust that the Most High is going to save us. Time and time again, he's done it. He gave us plenty of examples before throughout the whole Bible that he will come and deliver us. It's going to be looking scary. We might just want to give up, might want to lose hope. But let's remember all the examples that were set before us that we can follow these examples as well. As long as we don't lose hope, always remember that we're going to fight for our lives. We're going to fight for our laws. We're not going to give in to the heathen in no kind of shape, form, or fashion. I thought that was a beautiful story. That's one of my favorite stories, really, in the Bible. When it comes to, you know what I'm saying? Because you can, I mean, if we could only imagine, you know what I'm saying, watching our kids get killed in front of us, knowing we're going to be last, that's hard to do. I could just only imagine. But the faith of the brothers, everybody was on one accord. Like they already knew what it is. We're going to do this. You know what I'm saying? We will die. You know what I'm saying? With no qualms. No kind of, you know, wavering or nothing. This is this faith that they have, that's what we have to strive to do. So in our prayers, we want to ask for the Most High to increase our faith. You know what I'm saying? Increase our fear in Him. You know, He'll do that.
Sis, I got a couple precepts to go with your with that story.
Okay.
Let's go to Revelation chapter 6 and 10 through 11.
Okay.
All right, it says, and they cried with a loud voice, saying, how long, O Lord, holy and true, doest thou not avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth? And white robes were given unto every one of them. And it was said unto them that they should rest yet for a little season until their fellow servants also and their brethren that should be killed as they were should be fulfilled. So again, it's nothing new under the sun. If it happened then, it's going to happen again.
It's going to happen again. Yeah.
Some of the saints are going to be martyrs for Yahweh Shai.
Yeah.
And then I want to go to 2nd Ezra 2 and 42.
Can you repeat that, sis, please? The one.
2nd Ezra chapter 2 and 42. Okay, read. It says, I, Ezra, saw upon Mount Zion a great people whom I could not number, and they all praised the Lord with songs. And in the midst of them, there was a young man of a high stature, taller than all the rest, and upon every one of their heads he set crowns, and was more exalted, which I marveled at greatly. So I asked the angel and said, Sir, what are these? And he answered and said unto me, These be they that have put off the mortal clothing and have put on the immortal, and have confessed the name of God. Now are they crowned and have received palms. Then said I unto the angel, What young person is it that crowned them and give them palms in their hands? He answered and said unto me, It is the Son of God, whom they have confessed in the world. Then began I greatly to commend them that stood so stiffly for the name of the Lord. Then the angel said unto me, Go thy way and tell my people what manner of things and how great wonders of the Lord thy God thou hast seen. So that's beautiful, sisters. It don't matter how hard it gets. Like Sister Terry was just saying, we got to go ahead and increase our faith, pray that the Most High increase our faith in these last days. But whatever, we got to stand stiffly for the name of the Lord, for Yahweh. His name is Yahweh. We stand stiffly for Yahweh. That's what we got to do. We cannot waver, like she was saying. So what's the next foremother?
I'll go ahead. I have Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, okay.
Elizabeth. The story of Elizabeth is basically found in Luke. Luke chapter 1. So I'm going to read with Luke chapter 1, verses 5 through 68. I'm just going to kind of go through it a little bit. At the beginning, reading this, I kind of realized that whatever you are named is predestined to the person that you are. Elizabeth, named Shava in Hebrew, was the mother of John the Baptist and the daughter of Aaron. Okay, I'm gonna read this a little bit, okay? Elizabeth, defined as God, is in Hebrew. Oath meaning God's promise of perfection. Reading Luke 1:5-68, referring to Zacharias and Elizabeth, were considered righteous before God because they walked in all of the commandments and ordinances of the Lord. Even though Elizabeth was barren or unable to have child. In order to learn about Elizabeth, I have to talk about her Lord, Zacharias. Zacharias was a priest, and according to custom, incense was to be burned while in the temple. And then I have a reference to that, Leviticus 16-17. And it says, and there shall be no man in the tabernacle of the congregation when he goeth in to make atonement in the holy place until he come out, and for his household and for all of the congregation of Israel. While in the temple, an angel, Gabriel, came to him and said, fear not, Zacharias, for your prayer has been heard, and you and your wife shall have a child, and thou shalt call him John. The angel then said, I'm gonna read verses 14-17, and it says, and thou shalt have joy and gladness, and many shall rejoice at birth, for they shall be great in the sight of the Lord, and shall drink neither wine nor strong drink, and he shall be filled with the Holy Ghost, even from his mother's womb. And many of the children of Israel shall be, turned to the Lord their God, and he shall go before him in the spirit and power of Elias, to turn the hearts and the fathers to the children, and the disobedient to the wisdom of the just, to make ready a people prepared for the Lord. At that time when Gabriel said that, Zacharias, he kind of questioned what was said by Gabriel. And he said, Gabriel then said, I stand in the presence of God and to speak the good tidings, because of Zacharias not, being sure what was going to go on. He said, am I supposed to, let me go back, let me paraphrase, I'm paraphrasing a little bit. He said, who am I? How am I to do that? And then because he questioned what was said, he said, thou shalt be dumb. Gabriel told him, thou shalt be dumb and not able to speak until the day of these things are performed. And that leads to a reference of Ezekiel 13:26. I will make your tongue stick to your roof of your mouth, so that you will not be silent and unable to rebuke them, for they are rebellious people. Zacharias was in the temple in Judea, speechless for 5 months, and during that time, Elizabeth was in seclusion. At that time, God took him away from the disobedient people because they would not burn incense while in the temple. So he gave him, or he had time to become one with God, with Yah, I'm sorry, I'm nervous. Anyway, so at that same time, when he was at the temple, Elizabeth was also in seclusion. And during that time, the Lord also dealt with Elizabeth, with her taking reproach to men, which reproach meaning disappointment. She was disappointed in man. And that goes to Genesis 30:23. God has taken away my shame. She conceived and bare a son and said, God that taken away my reproach. And in the 6th month, Elizabeth, by that time, Zacharias and Elizabeth had returned turned home. In the 6th chapter, Elizabeth's cousin Mary came to visit Zacharias and Elizabeth. While there, the angel also came to Mary and told her that because she was found favor in God, she will conceive a son also, and his name will be Jesus. Mary stayed with Elizabeth 3 months until she had her son. The neighbors and her cousins celebrated with her, and on the 8th day of his birth, he was to be circumcised. And it was tradition then where if you have a male, that male would be named after the father, the same. And so they said, well, his name shall be Zacharias. And because of the oath that they had made with God, Zacharias came and said, no, his name shall be John. So at that time, Zacharias got a writing table and said, his name is John. At the time, Zacharias was, and at that same time, Zacharias was able to open his mouth and praise God. The story of Zacharias and Elizabeth is an example of trusting God. In the beginning, he did not and question God's promises, and God silenced him. He began to do what God instructed him to do, and because of that, he and Elizabeth were able to bear John at the wonderful ages of 99 and 88.
Wow.
And I had a couple of precepts regarding the oath, that regarding oaths. Hold on, I have to go back. I have to go back to my phone here. Okay, the first one is Numbers 30:2. If a man vows a vow to the Lord or swears an oath to bind himself by a pledge, he shall not break his word. He shall do according to all the proceeds out of his mouth. And another one that I had is Deuteronomy 23:23. You shall be careful to what you have passed in your lips, for you have voluntarily vowed to the Lord your God that you have promised with your mouth.
Sis.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I was nervous.
Fine, you did good.
Very,
All praises
very
to the Most
good.
High.
All praises to the Most High.
All right, what's the next foremother?
Eve,
I can't go next. Oh, go ahead, sis. Go ahead.
you okay? We good? Okay, Eve. Well, you know, she really showed all this trouble she done caused with these wars. And I really, Eve did her, I didn't realize that. I don't think she really knew what she was getting into, you know. So I'm going to go into Genesis chapter 3, and I'm going to start at 1. And the precepts that's going to follow after that, so we could get them up beforehand, will be Ephesians 5:22-33. First Peter 3, verse 7. And I have one more, Matthew. I'll find it when I get there. So now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, God said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. Now, the understanding that I get from Adam and Eve, when God breathed the breath of life into them, he breathed the commandments in them. So they had the word. They were strict. He gave them the first commandment: don't go deal with the tree in the midst of the garden. If you touch it, you will die, right? So they had that commandment with them, or she did, but he chose the weaker vessel. Now that's where I get First Peter, I think 3:7. I think I'm going the right way. I had them all carded off for ladies. Like, I knew what I was doing. I think I moved the cards. Because I'm nervous too. So, I'm sorry, ladies. I'm coming. It's in the back of the book. Okay. First Peter. I hope I got the right one. 3 and 7. Likewise, ye husbands dwell with. Nope, that's not it. Oh, yes, it is. Likewise, ye husbands dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers will not be hindered. Now, I chose that because it's showing us that she was the weaker vessel, and that in honoring her husband, she should have went to her husband instead of listening to the devil. Let me put it like that. The man, that the serpent, Satan, that was being used to con her. That's what he did. He conned her into accepting and believing in what he was telling her, right? So I'm gonna go up from 2 to 3. 3 and 3, we still in Genesis. But of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God has said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest you die. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die, for God doeth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eye, and the tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. Now, if I think of in the current times of how we were beguiled by the serpent, that when we was beguiled, we bowed down to the things that he was showing us. In current days, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Halloween, all President's Day, everything that's underneath the sun, but except the Most High, he didn't even reverence him. But that lets me know that instead of her following her Lord, which was Adam, she was led astray by the cunning of the enemy. So that brings me to when Jesus was tempted. Is that Ephesians? I think Ephesians 5. Let me make sure. And oh no, it's not. So we're going to go to Ephesians 5 and 22. And it says, wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as unto the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, and he is the Savior of the body. Now, when she didn't submit, I don't know about other people, because I'm not married, but if I was married, I would never, I had a boyfriend, right? Let me put it that way. And even when I had a boyfriend, I didn't go listen to other men. I didn't sit there and just hold conversations. Number one, it was wrong of her for doing that. Number two, instead of her leaning on them, the breath of life that the Lord had established in her and Adam, that's where I was trying to get to, but I think I wrote the wrong chapter down, where Jesus was tempted. I think it's in Matthew 4, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. That's how I have to do that, y'all, because Matthew 4 and 10, I believe it is. Bear with me, ladies. 4 and 10.
Matthew 4 and 1.
Is it 4 and 1? Then Jesus yes, we could start at 1. And it says, Matthew 4 and 1, then was Jesus led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. And when he had fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, he was afterward hungered. And when the tempter came to him, he said, if thou be the Son of God, command these stones be made bread. But He answered and said, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of Yahweh. She had the word within her, and it didn't show that she reached, or I didn't read where she reached back and used, because Yahweh came after Adam and Eve, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. So anywho, she just didn't reach back and call on the word that was established in her, those commandments that were established in her. She went astray, right, and led us into all this turmoil that we see today. The physical death, we didn't die, but the spiritual death, we did die. Childbearing, that we suffer through pain. Some babies are alive, some babies die, some babies just don't make it. You know, the heartache, the pain, the slavery, the starvation of our people, you know, just all the heart pain. And I don't really think she knew the door that she opened when she was listening to him. She just seen the bright light. Let me put it like that. She seen and listened to him, and he fed her a dream. And then that dream became our nightmare and our sorrows and our pain. But now that we are awakening and coming into this truth, we could see the mistakes or the things that Eve did and turn from that thing by following the law, statutes, and commandments and getting in right standing with our Lord, or, you know, with the Most High, most and foremost. And that's it. That's all I got, ladies.
Sis.
Uh,
I got a couple precepts to go with what you bringing out. 1 Samuel 15:23. It reads, for rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry. Y'all see that? Rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. And iniquity and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry. So we got to check ourselves. Eve was moving in rebellion.
Yes.
So she was literally dealing in witchcraft. It's the same, but Exodus 22:18. Real quickly, y'all don't even have to turn to say, thou shalt not suffer a witch to live.
Oh.
So when we moving in rebellion, we got to understand it's the sin of witchcraft. And the scriptures don't lie. Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. So that's plain. We got to check ourselves. You know, we can't be going off like Eve did. You know, this is a foremother. We learn from all our foremothers, but this is a foremother to learn from how not to be.
Not to. Yeah.
How not to be. And you should have brought them curses out. You gotta remember them curses. You gotta bring out them curses. Genesis 3:16. I'm gonna grab them real quick because that just we gotta remember it. You can't. Yeah. We gotta remember it. That alone is chastisement. Reading this, remembering what happened to us because we went off. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. See, Eve was so rebellious. She didn't want to listen to Adam. So guess what? She got cursed when we got cursed. And now our desire is our Lord shall rule over us. Let's get the rest. And he said, and Adam didn't get cursed. He said, and unto Adam, he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it, cursed is the ground. So I just wanted to get the curse on Eve. We got to remember that, y'all, how not to be like Eve. So what's the next, who's the next four?
I can go next, if not. Is that cool? Okay, Karen. I put down a few of our elder sisters, but I'll do Deborah for now, and then if we got more time, not willing, then I can you know, do a little on the other two that I had as well.
Sis.
So Deborah, her role could be found in the book of Judges, chapter 4. Now there's not like too much, so I'm just gonna go as briefly as I can. Okay, so to me, Deborah, her role is the proper way of how we as women should carry ourselves, you know, the proper order of a prophetess. Okay, so basically on chapter 4, from what we know, and chapter 4 and 1 tells us, and the children of Israel again did evil in the sight of the Lord when Ehud was dead. And the Lord sold them into the hand of Jabin, king of Canaan, that reigned in Hazor, the captain of whose host was Sisera, which dwelt in Harash, and of the Gentiles. So basically, when you read the beginning of the book of Judges, the children of Israel were doing wicked inside of the Lord. So they were into idolatry, and there was just a lot of things out of order. So moving down on 3, and the children of Israel cried unto the Lord, for he had 900 chariots of iron, and 20 years he mightily oppressed the children of Israel. So at this point, we were already like, you know, well, some of us were already crying to the Most High, you know, trying to just plead unto him that he delivers us, that he, you know, has mercy on us for going off. So starting at 4, and this is when we get into Deborah. And Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapidot, she judged Israel at the time. Okay, now a lot of Christians, you know, would take that and run with that and be like, oh, you see, I can be, you know, a woman can be a pastor, you know, a woman can, you know, she can be a prophetess too. She can, you know, assume authority over a man. Now, when we read that, it clearly states that Deborah, the wife, so Deborah had a head over her. She was a wife. Now let's go down to 6. And she sent and called Barak, the son of Menoab, out of Kadesh Naphtali, and said unto him, have not the Lord God of Israel commanded, saying, go and draw towards Mount Tabor, and take with thee 10,000 men of the children of Naphtali and the children of Zebulun. Now, here, when we read that, nowhere does it show her ruling over a man. Now, she had Barak. The Most High put the spirit on her to pull out Barak and talk to him. And even then, from when we read it, she was pretty much quoting the word of the Most High. So she was speaking with wisdom. I'm going to go down a little bit to 8, and then I'll bring my precepts out. 8. And Barak said unto her, if thou wilt go with me, then I will go. But if thou wilt not go with me, then I will not go. And she said, I will surely go with thee, notwithstanding the journey that thou takest shall not be for thine honor, for the Lord shall sell Sisera into the hand of a woman. And Deborah arose and went to Barak and Kadesh. So, okay. So 2 things. Okay, being a woman, you know, yes, I do believe that sometimes, you know, the Most High will use us to help our nation, whether that is empowering our men, you know, or whether that is just speaking wisdom, not so much of teaching, but, you know, again, just speaking out of wisdom. The Most High will use, you know, the daughters of Zion as well. I would like to bring out a precept for that. Let's do 1 Corinthians 9 and 3. And it says, but he hath prophesied, speaking unto men to edification and exhortation and comfort. Now, her, obviously she's not a man, but the way that she spoke to Barak, the way that she, was telling him, listen, like the Lord, he'll be with you, right? Like he'll be with you. This is what, she was suggesting to him what he should do, right? And trust that he was going to be with him. Now she went as a companion, right? But let's keep reading. It says, okay. And she said, I will surely go with thee, notwithstanding the journey that thou takest shall not be for thine honor, for the Lord shall sell Sisera into the hand of a woman. And Deborah arose and went with Barak to Kadesh. And Barak called Zebulun and Naphtali to Kadesh, and he went up with 10,000 men of his feet, and Deborah went with him. Okay, now here we clearly see that it was Barak that stood up to the men of Zebulun and Naphtali. Now she was with him, yes, but we can clearly see that she wasn't authority over no man, right? Okay, I'm gonna go down to 15. And the Lord discomforted Sisera. Salakia. Oh no, Salakia. Sorry, I'm all over the place. I'm gonna bring out Titus chapter 2, 3, and 5. And it reads, the aged woman likewise, that they be in behavior of becoming holiness, not false accusers, not giving too much wine, not giving too much wine, teacher of good things, that they may teach the young women and be sober, to love their husbands and to love their children. The way that she was speaking, she spoke with the wisdom and knowledge and understanding that the Most High had put in her spirit to empower our brothers of Israel, because at this point, they were wicked. Like they were wicked. And for one, we know that a woman shouldn't speak, amongst the congregation. But I'm going to bring that out. I don't just want to speak on it. I'm going to bring it out. 1 Corinthians 14 and 34. And it reads, let your women keep silence in the churches, for it is not permitted unto them to speak, but they are commanded to be under obedience, as also saith the law. So she knew her role. She knew her purpose. She knew as a woman, she's not going to go and just go all to the men, of the tribes and be like, listen to me, y'all got to fight. No, she consulted with her brother, with Barak. She told him, listen, this is what the Lord requires. Go and do it, right? Not ordering, but again, speaking with that wisdom. Let's go. I'm gonna do. Okay, I'm gonna do Acts 2, 17 and 18. It says, and it shall come to pass in the last days, say God, that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh. And your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams. So again, the Most High, the way that he dealt with her, to put the spirit on her to deal with with the men of Israel, still maintaining her order, still, understanding her role as a woman. According to the law and what is required, of us as well. Let's do, I'm gonna jump to First Corinthians, no, I did that already. Hebrews 13:17. It reads, obey them that have the rule over you and submit yourselves, for they watch for your souls as they that must give account, that they may do it with joy and not with grief, for that is unprofitable to you. So everything she was speaking, with Barak, she was also doing it for the nation. She was, like I said, empowering the men of Israel, because at the time, it seems like the men of Israel were losing hope. I mean, obviously, the nation was in distress. Everything was out of order. We know that the Most High don't put women above men to rule, right? He don't put them over to teach, right? To teach a man. But like sometimes I think, and please, sisters, if y'all want to like contribute to this, but sometimes I'm thinking, like, when I read it, sometimes I think, man, was he just using her as like almost to ridicule the men of Israel? You know what I'm saying? Because they were so out of order right after the book of Joshua, going into Judges, everything that they were doing. Like, how was it that a woman was more wise than the men? Does that make sense? And it's not, and it's not like in a boastful way, like women, but sometimes I'm like, man, like, it's crazy how the Most High will use also a woman to not just, I guess, like, show that, like, I guess the world would see it as a feminist, with a feminist spirit, but not even that. It's more of like, women can also be wise, right? Like when we think, she is wisdom, right? When I hear that, I think, okay, I'm a woman, I'm a she, how can I be more wise, right? What is required of me? What does the Most High want me to do for, not just for myself, but for my nation, for my children, for my husband? What is truly my role, and how can I perfect that, right? To help build the nation of Israel. So, so yeah, it was pretty much short and sweet. And after that, of course, the most I dealt with her. I'm gonna jump over to where? Okay, 9. And she said, I will surely go with thee, notwithstanding the journey that thou takest shall not be for thine honor, for the Lord shall sell Sisera into the hand of a woman. And Deborah arose and went with Barak to Kadesh. So the way that she even, reassured Barak, like, listen, remember, like, this is not for our vainglory. This is not for your vainglory. This is for the Lord. The Lord is going to make this happen. The faith that she had in what she was speaking on, But I'm going to end it there because it gets into Jael. And I know that there's another sister who was going to speak on Jael. Her name.
I had a precept for you though, sis. And Shalom, Sister Rashaya. So I got 2 different places. So Proverbs 16:1. I wanted to bring that out first and then go to the precept that I want to talk about. A woman, she's not usurping her authority over her Lord, but just being a mouthpiece to speak the words that the Most High want her to speak. So Proverbs 16:1, it says, the preparation of the heart in man, and the answer of the tongue is from the Lord. So we know it don't come from us, it comes from the Lord. So let's go to Genesis 21, verse 7. And this is a very good account just to show, you know, the Most High, he'll speak through who he chooses to speak through. And if it's a woman, that doesn't necessarily mean that she's usurping her authority over her Lord or over a man. She's just speaking the words that the Most High put on her heart to speak. So Genesis 21:7, it say, and this is Sarah and Abraham. It say, and she said, who have said unto Abraham that Sarah should have given children suck? For I have borne him a son in his old age. And the child grew and was weaned. And Abraham made a great feast the same day that Isaac was weaned. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar the Egyptian, which she had borne unto Abraham mocking. Wherefore she said unto Abraham, cast out this bondman and her son, for the son of this bondwoman shall not be heirs with my son, even with Isaac. And the thing was very grievous in Abraham's sight because of his son. And God said unto Abraham, let it not be grievous in thy sight because of the lad and because of the bondwoman. And all that Sarah hath said unto thee, hearken unto her voice, for in Isaac shall thy seed be called.
Wow.
You see how the Most High, he used her. He used Sarah to speak. He used Sarah as a mouthpiece to speak what he needed to be said, because it was already going to be done anyways. You see, so but she wasn't in no way usurping her authority over her Lord at all. Sarah was very humble and submissive and meek. So I just wanted to bring that account out. That was it.
I have a precept to that. Like it's in 1 Peter 3 and verse 1. Likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, they also may without the word be won by the conversation of their wives. I mean, hey, it is what it is. He uses his wives. I mean, he uses the women in the Bible sometimes to win over the conversation to their husbands. Sometimes that word, well, the majority of the time that the word brought forth to the most through the women to the men was to help Israel, to help their husbands. So we are helpmeets, right? He looks just like you.
Okay, who's next?
I'll go next.
I was gonna say everybody don't go at once.
Okay, I'm a little nervous. I don't like public speaking, but okay. So mine is on Leah. Is it Leah or Lay? I don't know. I usually say Leah.
I think I say Leah.
Leah.
Yeah,
Yes. I don't know why I said Leah. Yes, Leah. Okay, but we are. I would know everyone should probably know the story of Jacob and his two wives. Mainly, well, like I said, mine is on Leah. I don't want to get too much into it because I was just noticing, I forgot that another sister has Rachel. So it's kind of tied in. So I'm going to try to not mention Rachel so much. Leah, the first count of her, I believe, starts in Genesis 29, chapter 29. And she was a young woman. Her sister was Rachel, and they were the daughters of Laban. And Laban is Jacob's sister's son. So that would be his uncle. And he actually saw Rachel, and I guess fell in love with Rachel according to her beauty. She was a beautiful woman. And from how they described Rachel being beautiful and favored, I can imagine that she was like most beautiful women, probably curvy and pleasing to the eye. And he kind of overlooked Leah, but he ended up asking for Rachel's hand, to marry her. And Laban promised Rachel to Jacob. Then, and with Jacob promising to work for him for 7 years for her hand, and it didn't work out that way. So in exchange for his servitude or working for 7 years, he ended up kind of getting tricked into marrying Leah. And Leah was what they would consider, I guess, maybe homely. She wasn't that pleasing to the eye because there's no really account for her beauty. So it was more words of, what would you say? Like, they said tender eyed. So like maybe ordinary and plain. So she wasn't pleasing to the eye, I would say, to Jacob. So he favored Rachel more. But he ends up marrying Leah. And after he realized that he was tricked into consummating the marriage with Leah, he then went to Laban and asked Laban, kind of, and I would assume in an uproar, that he was tricked into marrying the wrong woman. But Leah, I would say she was all in. She wanted to be his wife because now she's married to him. But Jacob still wanted Rachel, so he chose to work again for another 7 years for Rachel's hand. But before that, it was kind of like a promise of, you need to be Leah's husband for at least a week. You got to fulfill your duties for a week, and then I will allow you to marry her sister. But you still have to work those 7 years off. So he did fulfill his duties as a husband to Leah. And let me see. Like I said, yeah, he worked for another 7 years. So Leah, being his wife, she knew that she wasn't really favored by him, that he preferred Rachel, but she still loved him. She still wanted to be his wife. She still wanted to do what the position she was put into. So she kind of just, I would say, rolled with the punches. It was one of those situations that I couldn't imagine being in. You love this man according to what she, how she should, because that was her husband, but he favored the other over her. But it showed that the Most High, he had compassion for her. So I wanted to read, because like I say, it starts in chapter 29, but I'm gonna try to, let's see. I'm gonna jump straight to 27. So yes, after Leah and Jacob, fulfilled their duties for the week, he he went on to Rachel, like I said, but in 27, chapter Genesis 29, verse 7, and it says, I'll go before that, 26. So it said, and Laban said, it must not be done be so done in our country to give the younger before the firstborn. So that was the reason why Laban kind of tricked them, because it wouldn't have looked right, that the younger daughter would be given in marriage first before the oldest. So it says 27, fulfill her week, and we will give thee this also for the service which thou shalt serve with me yet 7 other years. And Jacob did so and fulfilled her week, and gave him Rachel his daughter to wife also. And Laban gave, let's see, now I'm gonna jump down. Okay, so Leah, the Lord, 31, and says, and when the Lord saw that Leah was hated, he opened her womb, and but Rachel was barren. And Leah conceived and bare a son, and she called him his name Reuben. For she said, surely the Lord hath looked upon my affliction, and now therefore my husband will love me. So she continued trying to fulfill her duties and, not taking to heart that her husband really didn't favor her. So her thing was, I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do, and I'm going to give him his children. I'm going to bear his first children. And she did. And her mind frame of when she was doing this was that he would likely love me more. So that's why her first child, the children that she had, she named them according to kind of like her circumstances in a sense. So the first child being named Reuben, which again, like I said, meaning was, what was it? Surely the Lord have looked upon my affliction. Now, therefore, my husband will love me, and then on, 33, she conceived again, and she bare a son and said, because the Lord have heard that I was hated, he had therefore given me this son also. And she called his name Simeon. And 34, she conceived again and bare a son and said, now this time will my husband Ben be joined unto me. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say that. Now this time will my husband be joined unto me, because I have borne him 3 sons. Therefore was his name called Levi. So the more sons she had, like I say, she named them according to the situations at hand. And we know that each time she bore children, she probably felt like it was getting her closer and closer to becoming, more loved and favored by her husband. And so during those first 3 sons, it was more so of her wanting to win his favor. But by the time she conceived her 4th child, her outlook kind of changed. And you could tell that it was more so now about just fulfilling her role and praising the Most High. So it was just a shift in her, I don't know, I'm not gonna say beliefs, but the contentment that she had, it shifted in her praise, and her outlook is shifted. So it go on to say, which one? Okay, 35. And she conceived again and bare a son, and she said, now I will praise the Lord. Therefore she called his name Judah, and left bearing. So we know that Judah is the meaning for Judah is praise Yahweh. So that shows that she completely shifted. It just changed. Her love and praise went to the Most High. So now, instead of her worried about being favored by Jacob, she's doing what she was meant to do. And she bared so far 4 of the children that we know as being the fathers of the 12 tribes. And to me, that whole situation, even from just to this point, was, like I say, it's a hard pill to swallow, to have to just get out of your flesh and not care, about how you're being treated, sometimes, because everything has a reason, and she ended up, she came into her reason. She knew what her purpose was, and that Most High was blessing her back to back to back. She was bearing these children, and she gave birth to very prominent members, of Jacob's family. They were going to be, like I say, the fathers of the 12. They were the 12 tribes. And so, and though her marriage was loveless, but it was still her love, like I say, went to the Most High. So, let me see. I'm sorry, I kind of lost my place. So after, and the fact that she was bearing all of the children, and then he did still have Rachel, but she wasn't, producing such as her. And Rachel did end up going on to produce, but I would assume that there was a lot of kind of strife and issues within that situation. So Leah, she eventually, between the time of, I think, when Rachel started actually, Rachel didn't have children yet, but Leah was barren for a while, and she actually ended up giving her maid to Jacob to produce more children, and he ended up producing more children with the maid, Zilpah. And those, Leah named those children. They produced Gad and Asher. And let's see. So I'm gonna go down to 14. I'm in Genesis 30. And it talks about, goes into more with Leah, and it says, and Reuben went in the days of wheat harvest and found mandrakes in the field and brought them unto his mother Leah. Then Rachel said to Leah, give me, I pray thee, of thy son's mandrakes. And she said unto her, is it a small matter, though, that thou hast taken my husband? And wouldest thou take away my son's mandrakes also? So that's where I could tell that there was some conflict between them two, because any woman would feel like, you, like she said, you took my husband, now you want what my son gave me also. And I know that the mandrakes were something of like a aphrodisiac. I think it was something that helped with childbearing. It helped women with their reproductive systems back then. So I would assume that was the point of Rachel wanting them, and they came up with the plan. And Rachel, it says that, and Rachel said, therefore he shall lie with thee tonight for thy son's mandrakes. So Rachel was willing to give Jacob up to Leah again for another night, just so she can get the mandrakes. And it says that in 16, and Jacob came out of the field in the evening, and Leah went out to meet him and said, thou must come in unto me, for surely I have hired thee with my son's mandrakes. And he lied with her that night. And 17, it says, and God hearkened unto Leah and said, and she conceived and bare Jacob the 5th son. So the Most High continually blessed her with an open womb. And I think the whole thing of her being the least favored, that made the Most High seek her out more, because she had, like I said, she turned the whole new outlook in life. So her thing was all about praising the Most High, even when it would seem like you would be woe is me. She wasn't feeling like that. She just, the more children she bare, the more praise she gave to the Most High. And it said to 18, and Leah said, God have given me my hire because I have given my maiden to my husband. And she called his name Issachar. And Leah conceived again and bare Jacob the sixth son. And Leah said, God hath endued me with a good dowry. Now will my husband dwell with me, because I have borne him 6 sons. And she called his name Zebulun. And then afterwards she bare a daughter and called her Dinah. So she bore him 6 sons and 1 daughter, and still likely favored Rachel more because of their beauty. But you know, like I said, she didn't let that bother her. She was very content with what the Most High blessed her with, and that's what she rejoiced in, you know. And that I have also a precept for that 1 Thessalonians 5:16. Let's see. I'm sorry. My daughter that got onto my Bible. All right. So 1 Thessalonians 5:16 through 18. And it says, rejoice always, pray without ceasing, and everything give thanks, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus for you. And I mean, that just shows that no matter what, you know, you just always have to constantly praise and give thanks to the Most High. And that's what she did. And that's what, you know, to me is something that I look to, or that I would, it took me a minute, because like I've mentioned before, how my husband, he came up to that conclusion, like, it don't matter how bad things can seem, how your life could be going. We just always got to give thanks. So it's not about what we might, our ideal situation, because what we think might be ideal might not be in the Most High's eyes. So we have to know how to just always rejoice and thank him for everything. And that's what she did. And that's something that I believe is why he favored her so much, by opening her womb like he did. You know, so I'm just gonna leave it there, okay?
God says, all praises to the Most High.
All praises, yes.
I had a couple precepts to go with what you were saying, though. Right in the same book, Genesis 29, 30, and 31. And it say he went in also unto Rachel, and he loved also Rachel more than Leah, and served with him yet 7 other years. And when the Lord saw that Leah was hated, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. So I wanted to get a precept to go with that. And Psalms 34 and 17. And it says, the righteous cry, and the Lord heareth, and delivereth them out of all their troubles. The Lord is nigh unto them that are of a broken heart, and saveth such as be of a contrite spirit. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivereth him out of all. So that's beautiful. He hearkened to Leah. He seen the pain and the hatred that was coming off, because he preferred Rachel over Leah. But the Most High, like, nope, I'm dealing with her. She broken and she's of a contrite heart. So that's who I'm dealing with. That's who the Lord is coming back for, though. He ain't dealing with the proud. He's not dealing with the prideful. He's coming for the meek, the lowly, and of a contrite heart. So what's the next foremother, sisters?
Has everybody went already?
No, not everybody. Shalom, Sister Rashaya.
Shalom, I finally made it, y'all. Okay, I just catch my breath and then I'll go. So somebody else.
Okay, who else want to go?
I'll go.
Constance.
Can you hear me? So I'm going to speak on Herodias. And the account is in Mark chapter 6, 14 through 29, and also Matthew 14, 3 through 12. So we're going to read Matthew, because it's a little shorter. Matthew 14, 3 through 12. It says, "For Herod had laid hold on John and bound him and put him in prison for Herodias' sake, his brother Philip's wife. For John said unto him, It is not lawful for thee to have her. And when he would have put him to death, he feared the multitude because they counted him as a prophet. But when Herod's birthday was kept, the daughter of Herodias danced before them and pleased Herod. Whereupon he promised with an oath to give her whatsoever she would ask. And she being before instructed of her mother, said, Give me here John Baptist's head in a charger. And the king was sorry, nevertheless, for the oath's sake, and them which sat with him at meat, he commanded it to be given her. And he sent and beheaded John in the prison. And his head was brought in a charger and given to the damsel, and she brought it to her mother. And his disciples came and took up the body and buried it and went and told Jesus." And it goes on, Jesus was upset about hearing it, but the account shows that Herodias, she was upset with John the Baptist because he was the elder that spoke on her sins and told her, hey, you cannot lay with your husband's brother. So what I got from this story is that Herodias hated correction. So she wouldn't hearken to the words of the Lord, which came from John the Baptist. So she had all this wickedness in her. And when the opportunity presented itself, she acted out and had John the Baptist murdered. So I picked up a video that I wanted to show you guys. I think I can do it. I don't hear everybody mute their mics. I wanted to find like a modern day example of how this kind of spirit would dwell on someone. So I found a story where a 16-year-old didn't like her mother's correction. So she had her 25-year-old boyfriend, when she was 16, had her 25-year-old boyfriend to murder her mother. And then we have different accounts there. It's only like 4 minutes long with 3 different people who show different things that the child did to show how she would try to find any kind of way to go against her mother because of the correction. So 1 second.
While you're doing that, Sister Tawana, I just want to give a little funny. It's funny, I spoke about the birth of John the Baptist, and you speaking about his death.
Oh. What happened to her? Let's pull it up, commercials. Hold on a second.
early on in the search of the house, I saw a letter from Lori Waterman to Rochelle, basically an apology and a desire to have a better relationship. At that point of the investigation, I didn't know enough to consider that an important piece of evidence. I thought it was more important for the family to have that as a remembrance of Lori.
Lori and Rochelle were fighting over Rochelle's dating Jason. There was causing a lot of tension in the family. Lori was just trying to, rein in a rebellious teen, and she was just being a good mom, is all she was doing. Rochelle obviously didn't like her mother disciplining her and telling her who she can date and what she can do. And, this is all pretty normal stuff for teens, but this just went totally out of control and ended up where it did.
The letter was very loving and caring, and it was obvious how much Lori loved Rochelle. Rochelle kept the letter. Obviously, their relationship was not so broken that it couldn't be mended.
Okay, that's the commercial, but then it's gonna show the second part.
For the first time ever, buy your new car entirely from home with Nissan at Home. Delivered direct from dealer to driveway.
My daughters commented to me that they liked hanging around with Rochelle, but every time that she invited them to go do something, these two guys would be there. And Rochelle had changed dramatically in her appearance and behavior over the last year, hanging out with Jason Arant and Brian Riddell. I told my daughters just on instinct, don't hang around with those guys. If they're there, you need to leave.
Rochelle was kind of feeling her oats a bit. She started hanging out with those creepy men, and you could tell Lori wasn't real happy. They made her mother mad when she hung out with them, and it's not unusual for teenagers to fight with their mothers. Even in the heat of the moment, it's not unusual for a teenager to say, I hate you, or I wish you were dead.
As a parent, my reaction would be the same thing as Lori was. He's way too old for you. You're better than that. You're moving on with your life. You're going bigger and better places.
And this last one's gonna come up. Just a second.
Add movies and shows to your watch list from anywhere and watch when you get home. Welcome to Easier TV.
This is gonna show pretty much how she really feels about her mother on this last video.
Blogs were just kind of at their beginning in 2004, and teenagers around the world were pouring out their feelings, their thoughts to anyone who would read their blog. And Rochelle had a blog called My Crappy Life, and she referred to Craig, Alaska as Hell, Alaska.
Doc and Lori's house was a house straight out of a 1950s sitcom, and the nature of a teenager is to rebel against that.
Rochelle accused her mother of all kinds of physical abuse and verbal abuse. She said her mother told her constantly she was too fat, and she refused to let her eat. She hid food from her.
You get mad at your mom, and all of a sudden she pushed me down the stairs. Well, really? Well, did you go to the hospital? No. She hit me with a baseball bat. Really? I mean, I've been hit with a baseball bat. It hurts. Did you go to the hospital? Did you have a big bruise? Well, no. And we investigated these things, and there was nothing there.
But it was like fantasy stuff that had no basis in reality, according to anyone that knew her. Nobody believed them except for Jason Arant and Brian Riddell. One of Rochelle's last posts on her blog started with, and I'm paraphrasing here, well, as most of you know, my mom was murdered, and I won't be able to post for a while because the police are taking my computer to look at the hard drive. I hope to be able to post again this weekend. And people thought, what? It sounded like the only inconvenience with her mother dying was she was not going to be able to post for a few days on her blogs. People at Craig began to think at that point, maybe Rochelle was involved in the murder of her mother.
Okay. So I feel like that was kind of similar to the spirit that Herodias had on her. And like, no matter what, like soon as her daughter came to her and said, "Hey, I can request anything," the first thing that came to her mind was to have somebody killed. That's how that's evil. So I had some precepts to go along with this. And Proverbs 15:31-32. The ear that heareth the reproof of life abideth among the wise. So we got to be mindful of people, especially when it lines up with the scriptures. We have to examine ourselves when someone gives us constructive criticism. And then I have one at Romans 15:14. And it says, "And I myself also am persuaded of you, my brethren, that ye also are full of goodness, filled with all knowledge, able also to admonish one another." So we have to keep each other straight. Be willing to give reproof to someone else and also to accept it.
Sis. All praises to the Most High. All right, sisters. Who's going next? What other foremothers we gotta bring out? I think we got a couple that didn't bring out foremothers yet.
I'll go next.
Okay.
Okay. My foremother is Jochebed, Moses' mother, and it started at Exodus 2:1-10.
Can you repeat the chapter?
Exodus 2:1.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'll start at 1. All right, Exodus 2:1. And there went a man of the house of Levi and took to wife a daughter of Levi. And the woman conceived and bare a son. And when she saw him that he was a goodly child, she hid him 3 months. And when she could no longer hide him, she took for him an ark of bulrushes and daubed it with slime and with pitch, and put the child therein. And she laid it in the flags by the river's brink. And his sister stood afar off, to wit what would be done to him. And the daughter of Pharaoh came down to wash herself at the river, and her maidens walked along by the river side. And when she saw the ark among the flags, she sent her maid to fetch it. And when she opened it, she saw the child, and behold, the baby wept. And she had compassion on him, and said, "This is one of the Hebrews' children." Then said his sister to Pharaoh's daughter, "Shall I go and call to thee a nurse of the Hebrew women, that she may nurse the child for thee?" And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, "Go." And the maid went and called the child's mother. And Pharaoh's daughter said unto her, "Take this child away, and nurse it for me, and I will give thee thy wages." And the woman took the child and nursed it. And the child grew, and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. And she called his name Moses. And she said, "Because I drew him out of the water." But from this story, Jochebed showed her faith in the Most High, where she first had her faith in the Most High, where she no longer could take care of him. She no longer could hide Moses. So she first started off with a leap of faith by putting him in the basket and sending him off in the water. And that was the time of when Pharaoh sent out the decree to kill all the Israelite babies. So she took a leap of faith by sending him off because he could have got killed. And she put her faith in the Most High. And Pharaoh's daughter, the Most High, she also put faith in the Most High. And so the Most High blessed her with favor because Pharaoh's daughter had compassion on Moses, and she also had compassion on Miriam for going up to Pharaoh's daughter. And then I got some precepts to go with it. Psalms 37, 4 through
Speak a little louder so we can hear you.
Okay. Psalms 37, 4 through 6 is the first precept to go with it. Okay, and it says, delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart. Commit thy way unto the Lord, trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. And he shall bring forth thy righteousness as the light, and thy judgment as the noonday. So Jochebed, in this situation, the desire of her heart was to keep her son and to take care of him. That's why she hid him for 3 months. But when she no longer had the ability to hide him, she put her faith in the Most High, and from putting her faith in the Most High, he blessed her because in the end she was able to get her son back and take care of him until he was older. And then along with that, the Most High blessed Jochebed with more than she asked for because she also got wages for nursing Moses, which is already her son. So the next precept for that, Psalms 9 and 10. Okay, Psalms 9 and 10. And they that know thy name will put their trust in thee, for thou, Lord, hast not forsaken them that seek thee. So Jochebed, she put all her faith in the Most High, and she seeked after his name to handle her problems, and he didn't forsake her. And that's it on there.
That's what it's all about, is putting our faith in the Most High, knowing that He's gonna lead and guide us and direct our steps, and where He lead us, that's where He lead us. So we gotta trust Him.
Yes.
Okay. Who wanna go next?
I'll go.
Okay.
So my foremothers is Tabitha, and we're going to start at Acts. Acts chapter 18, verse 36. Now there was at Joppa a certain disciple named Tabitha, which by interpretation is called Dorcas. This woman was full of good works and alms deeds, which she did. And it came to pass in those days that she was sick and died, whom when they had washed, they laid her in the upper chamber. And for as such much as Lydda was nigh to Joppa, and the disciples had heard that Peter was there, they sent unto him 2 men, desiring him that he would not delay to come to them. Then Peter arose and went to them. When he was come, they brought him into the upper chamber, and all the widows stood by him weeping, and showing the coats and garments which good Dorcas made, while she was with them. But Peter put them all forth, and knelt down and prayed, and turning him to the body said, Tabitha, arise. And she opened her eyes, and when she saw Peter, she sat up. And he gave her his hand, and lifted her up. And when he had called the saints and widows, presented her alive. And it was known throughout all Joppa, and many believed in the Lord. And it came to pass that he tarried many days in Joppa with Simon and Anna.
You got any precepts to go with it?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your precepts?
Have Mark 11 and 24.
Okay.
Okay. Mark 11 and 24. Therefore I say unto you, what things soever you desire, when you pray, believe that you receive them, and you shall have them.
That's right. What else you got?
Hallelujah.
What else you got? You got any more precepts or no?
Yeah, I'm going to explain it.
Okay.
Okay. Mark 11 and 24 went with that, because the faith that Peter had, it must have been high. He must have had a lot of faith in the Most High, that when he answered his prayers, Tabitha arose up, and it made many believe in the Lord.
That's right. All right. You got any more?
That was it.
Gone.
God, all praises to the Most High.
All praise.
Francis.
Most High.
All right. Who want to go next?
Okay.
Sisters.
I'll
Who
go.
going? Oh, okay. Sister Rashaya.
Yes, I'll go.
Okay.
Okay, sisters, I have foremother Rebecca and Ruth. So I'm gonna start off with Sister Rebecca, and we're gonna go Genesis 22, verses 23 through 24. 1 second. Okay. And it reads, no, sorry, y'all. Somebody's not. Okay, 23 reads, and Bethuel begat Rebekah. These 8 Michal did bear to Naor. I'm sorry, let me start from 22. And Chest and Hazel and Filda and Jilla, I can't pronounce, and Bethuel. Bethuel begat Rebekah. These 8 Milcah did bear to Naor, Abram's brother. So Rebekah was one of many siblings, which happened to be from the son of Naor, which is Abraham's brother. So that is Abraham's nephew. And I wanted to go to speak on Abraham because Abraham was the first called, as we know. And in Genesis 24, he speaks on his servant going to go get his wife for his son. So the way he went about it was absolutely remarkable because he put his trust in the Most High. Our father Abraham wanted his son to marry his own kind and not of the land that they were in, which was Canaan. And that's found in Genesis 24, verses 2 through 4. Let me see and make sure that I'm right. Yes, Abraham said unto his eldest servant of his house that ruled over all, that he had put, I pray thee, thy hand under my thigh, and I will make thee swear by the Elohim of heaven and Elohim of the earth, that thou shalt not take a wife unto my son of the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom we dwell. He gave him great instructions. I didn't want to break all that down because I could really read the whole chapter, but I wanted to jump down to verse 4, where he said, thou shalt go into my country, to my kindred, and take a wife unto my son Isaac. But he made it very clear in verse 8 that he didn't want his son to ever go into that land. And I thought that was something very peculiar as well, because he was led out of the land. He didn't want his seed to go back there, but he did want a wife from there. So it had to be somebody of the same faith, same heritage, same culture. And in 8 is where he mentions, verse 8, if the woman will not be willing to follow thee, then thou shalt be clear from this my oath. Only bring not my son thither again. So what I was saying was sometimes we're not welcome back in our homeland when we come into this truth, and they don't really want to have us there again. However, Abraham spoke highly on his faith in the Elohim sending an angel to go before his servant to show him the way. Genesis chapter 24, verses 5 through 7 explains how he would allow his servant to go on nothing but faith to go and find this woman for his son. And so it reads, like I said, the Lord God of heaven, verse 7, which took me from my father's home and from the land of my kindred, which spake unto me, that swear unto me, saying, unto thy seed will I give this land. He shall send his angel to go before thee, and thou shalt take a wife unto my son from them. So once again, sometimes we don't know what we're going into. And it's said that the man who finds a wife finds a good thing. So he was looking for the rib of Isaac. Y'all don't hear me though. His baby back rib. No, I'm just kidding. Anywho, Genesis 24 explains a lot of how the servant went about going to the land to go and seek out this beautiful wife. The wife would have, he prayed for certain things to happen to show that this would be the woman of choice. And she was a woman of heritage. Rebecca had culture in her. As you read in Genesis 24, verse 29, it goes into speaking on her family and who she come from. Because see, what's his name? It didn't say his name. The servant asked, who are you? And she responded that I am the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Milcah, which she bare unto Naor. So once again, it's confirming her bloodline as kindred. And that was a confirmation for him to know that she was of, quote, the same lineage, and she knew to do what was righteous, and that is to bless the man of Yah who's coming to ask for something to drink. I am skipping over y'all because I do not have my notes and I'm just going off memory. Pray with me. Okay, now Genesis 24 also confirms her roots by mentioning who she's a child of. But the biggest thing for me that proved her faith is once she went with the servant, went back, and her family blessed her before she left. The blessing was something that you would never think, and that is that she will be the mother of millions. And that is in chapter 24, verse, I want to say 60. Yes. And it says, they blessed Rebecca and said unto her, thou art our sister. Be thou the mother of thousands of millions, and let thy seed possess the gate of those which hate them. And Rebecca arose and her damsels, and they rode upon the camels and followed the man, and the servant took Rebecca and went his way. So when Rebecca was on her way and they rolled out, I noticed that when it came to the part of her seeing someone coming out to greet her, she asked the servant, "Who is this that comes to greet me?" And right then, she jumped down off the camel to cover herself. That's part of heritage again. So she was already accustomed to the Hebrew culture because this is her culture, her heritage. So Isaac and Rebecca, they married. As we know, she was a comforter from the death of Sarah. Isaac was grieving greatly. In verse 67, it mentions that. Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent and took Rebekah, and she became his wife, and he loved her. And Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. So we know that the Most High sent her as well to be a comforter for him at the same time. But what got me was the 20-year wait, guys, for her to produce a child. Oh my goodness, like 20 years she waited, because you're being blessed by your family to say you're going to be a mother of millions or billions, whatever. And then it takes you 20 years to conceive. And you kind of have doubts. If you're a woman, you understand that when you're not fully in your womanhood, sometimes there are attacks on the mind that the enemy uses to allow us to go into depression, to allow us to doubt, but she never did. And I greatly appreciate that. So I wanted to share that it took 20 years before she even conceived, and she rejoiced with that. And not only did she conceive a child, she had two. She's the mother of Esau and Jacob. This is our grandmother, you see. So with that being said, as a mother, I know that it's very grievous when you cannot help your children. So when she said, "I want Jacob to pass as Esau," I read a lot of commentary that said that she was very deceptive and deceiving to Isaac. However, I also saw that as a mother, she kind of went before God, yes, and did her own thing, because it shows no account of the Most High telling her to do those actions. However, it did bring forth what the Most High told her when she was pregnant, that the younger will be, the older will serve the younger. So I guess as a mother, she probably tried to do her own thing, and figure it out. But sometimes we got to back up and let the Most High do what he's doing with the sons. However, it came to pass that she also helped Jacob to get away from Esau, as he was tempting to, of course, kill him for his birthright. The biggest thing about Rebecca's faith to me was not only all that she endured over the time, but Isaac and Rebecca dealt with Esau and his wives that were from a whole nother tribe. They were Hittites, I believe, which brought forth other gods and other practices under their roof, and I do believe it said that it grieved them greatly as parents. So she did not want Jacob to do the same thing and marry of the women in the area. So I'm not justifying her. However, I am saying that as a mother, sometimes we think of our children and do things prematurely. And we really have to go before the Most High and really ask him for guidance now that we know better, basically. You know better, you do better. The precepts I had on Rebecca mainly came from the book of Psalms, and it was 37. I heard somebody say 37 already, which is a great one. But it was actually not Psalms 37, 34, forgive me. Psalms 34 verses, I wanted for Rebecca 1-3, and that says, "I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall continually be in my mouth. My soul shall make her boast in the Lord. The humble shall hear thereof and be glad. Oh, magnify the Lord with me, and let us exalt his name together." So as Isaac continued to show his faith, she was faithful right alongside of Isaac. So it wasn't like Sarah, where she laughed at the thought of what the Most High was saying. She really showed that she walked hand in hand with him, and she also meditated in the Most High as well. I don't have another precept for that. I do want to go on to Sister Ruth because I had more time on Ruth. Ruth,
I'm sorry, Sister Rashia and other ladies. I have a question about Rebecca because she's very interesting to me. That's where me and my Lord have commentary on. Because Rebecca did not follow, like I said, she went on to her, she did what she wanted to do. But because of she doing what she wanted to do, Esau and Jacob, that was the beginning of the curse of the Israelites, right? That's where the curse, because what I've been learning, Esau was the red one and Jacob was the dark one, and Israelites are either sons of, we're the Israelites.
Right.
So Esau being who he is, basically because of the birthright or what have you, the thing, then we got the curse.
We got the curse as the seed of Jacob, you're saying, from the beginning where he took the birthright?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Is that right, Sister Zay?
What's that?
Okay.
I heard.
Because
I heard some of it.
Because of what happened between Jacob and Esau, we the Israelites, so we got the curse. Because the first was last and the last was first. So Esau was the first, which was he's supposed to be the last. So we got the curse, right?
I think you.
Oh, I'm confused.
Not obeying
no, because the scriptures say the elder will serve the younger.
Right.
The elder will serve the younger, and the elder came out first, which was Esau.
Yeah, which was Esau. Okay. That's what I was trying to ask, but it kind of got flip-flopped. Okay, Sister Rashia.
Thank you. Bless you.
Okay.
Anything else?
You had another sister, or was it? I think somebody else.
I had.
Was anybody else have? Go ahead.
I had another one as well.
Did anybody else want to bring out a foremother that haven't went yet? Shalom, Sister Queenie. Did everybody go that wanted to go? I'm assuming that's a yes, so.
Yeah. So I only wanted to say a little bit on Ruth because that was my grandma's name. However, I don't have much because I said I left my notes. That's another thing. But Ruth was loyal, faithful, submissive, trustworthy, and converted because she was a Moabite that was converted, I say, through her husband as well as the mother-in-law. And the biggest thing that I saw was chapter 1, Ruth 1 and 4 shows that they took 2 wives, both sons, and they both were dwelling in the land for a decade. So being married to anybody, if anybody's been married a long time, you know that you somehow pick up habits from your Lord and you act like your Lord. You may sound like them or whatever they try to say, but she really took to the lifestyle of a Hebrew. And when they passed away, verse 14, it explains how she didn't want to leave. You see, she wanted to stay with Ruth, while in verse 10, they both wanted to stay with Ruth. But when she offered them to leave again, one said, I'll go back home to my people. And one said, I'm going to stay with you. You now my people. So I'm going to live with you, die with you, wherever you are. So to me, that was very faithful and loyal. That was very submissive of her because she came humble. and she didn't come like, like she wasn't a daughter. She came like she was a biological daughter. And she humbly followed her mother-in-law to the homeland of her husband. And there she knew the custom. And when she got there, the one thing I said was Ruth was a go-getter. Like she really went out there to go work, go find some type of way to bring back some type of food, revenue, whatever. And when she did that humbly. She wasn't trying to be boastful and everything. And Brother Boaz noticed her, you see. And I thought it was very, 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 very interesting how Boaz kind of like put his stamp on her, basically a covering, and spoke over her like, don't go to this land over here and try to glean. You stay over here where you're covered, you're protected. Then at that time, he didn't even know that she was kindred until the young man shared that in the field. And for her to be humble enough to go to work every day, do everything she had to do, obey her mother-in-law, she then gained the covering of a husband from a kinsman, Brother Boaz. And that showed great faith in knowing that the God that they served will bless her with something in her womb, because she did not get an opportunity in 10 years to produce a child. And we know that producing children is what the Most High requires. He says, go and be fruitful and multiply. So with that being said, she felt her duty wasn't done with her being barren. I mean, not with child. But when she got with Brother Boaz and they did their thing, he went through all the what you call that? All the you know what I'm trying to say, all the steps, child, to get her. Meaning he had to go before the other kinsmen, produce it as Naomi selling her land, selling her inhabitants, and it included Ruth. So they weren't willing to purchase the land, the inhabitants, and all of that. So she became his. And when he wifed her, it was a blessing that she did conceive, which was Brother Obed. Is that how you pronounce it? Obed is the father of David. Is that right? Obed is the father of Jesse. Jesse is the father of David. Let me get that right. Okay. So for that to just show that all these names of these foremothers, they are mentioned very slightly in the scriptures, but they all held great power in producing and bringing forth our king. So I just thought that was a blessing because I never knew where she lied in the scriptures. So with that, I am completely finished because I don't have no more notes. And this is just me freestyling on what I had earlier. Okay. Any questions?
I have a question, because when I read the story of Ruth, I know how she interpreted it. It was as if it was all Ruth's doing as far as what she did. But I look at the story as the Most High had it where Ruth just was able to be in position to help Naomi, because it was all really about Naomi and not the Moabite woman, because she's not going to gain anything other than maybe being blessed on the earth. She's not good, on this side of the earth, but she's not going to get anything else. So it was all for Naomi, because that's the only thing that Naomi had in order to get another child.
Right. Because I also noticed that she gave the baby to Naomi to nurse. So when you just read all the account of everything, it's so many layers to how the Most High is working and using his people. And like I said, she was a Moabite that was being used because she was being obedient after she lost her husband and so forth. However, the only blessing is unto Naomi, because her kindred can now live on. She now have lineage. So that was the big blessing. And Boaz is a part of the bloodline as well. So it just continued on. I believe that time.
I have a question now. To my understanding, I believe Ruth is an Israelite. Am I what are sisters' thoughts on that? Do y'all think she is a Moabite or an Israelite?
She is a Moabite.
It says she's
Naomi
Moabite.
was the Israelite.
Mhm.
She was just she was married to Israelites and they died.
Right.
So she stayed with her mother-in-law.
Right.
And I felt, yeah, so I looked at it as the Most High needed somebody. Just like in one account, I don't remember who it was, but the sons had died and they wanted the dad had to end up being with her, thinking she was a prostitute. Like I think the Most High things happen the way he needs it to happen. But if you look,
Tamar, I think that was Tamar.
That was, yep.
Yeah.
So I think you gotta look deep into why things happen rather than on the surface, because it'll get confusing.
Because I know that Boaz was a righteous man and Boaz did everything according to the law. And the Bible tells us that, I mean, for one, he called her a virtuous woman, and we know that Proverbs 31, that applies to the Israelite woman. I just, to my understanding, I just don't see like the Most High giving like a whole book to a heathen. So I just thought maybe she was the example of what of grafting an Israelite back in, somebody who was raised, you know, taking customs of the heathen, raised in the land of the heathen, actually returning back to the nation of Israel, understanding the true identity. I got that just because everything that Boaz did, he did according to the law. So I just don't see how like the Most High would bless a righteous man with the heathen. I mean, but then again, I mean, that's just my understanding. I never really read it like that.
The woman is only the earth, so he still can produce Israelites through the Moabite woman. And being that he's righteous, so he's an Israelite, he's gonna do righteous things, but he I don't know if he understood or had revelation, but he did that for the preservation of the Israelite seed. God the Most High makes everything happen according to how he wanted to happen.
Right. Yes. And isn't it an account where I forget who it was that took Rahab or the one that saved the spies or whatever, and she wasn't an Israelite either. I don't remember what she was, but in the land of who was that?
Land of Jericho.
Jericho.
That was who I was trying to talk about today. That was who I was trying to do today.
Okay, yeah, I was just asking because she was called it Moabite-ish, like that term, you know, sort of, but not really. The same way that when you read in Matthew, Simon was also called a Canaanite, and Simon was not a Canaanite. So I just thought, you know, if Yahweh's lineage, you know, was like he was born righteous under the law, I just don't see how a heathen would take, you know, a play in that. But then again, that's my understanding. I mean, I don't want to debate or anything like that. I just,
no, that's fine with me. Look, we get more edified when somebody have different opinions, because you know what I'm saying, that's how people. I learn the most like that. When I look at the brothers' videos, I love it when they got scoffers, because I learn more because they go deeper. The brothers go deeper and find buried precepts from way back. So bring them on.
I think that sounds like a topic, you know, to learn from your Lord, you know, because that can get deep, and I think that's something that you should just learn from your Lord more on, you know.
And I do have something that I was taught, so that's why I was kind of like, you know, trying to see where you guys were coming in regards to that topic. But I mean, but yes.
Yeah, but if I'm not mistaken, it in the account it was saying that they married, you know, when it shows them leaving their land and going to Moabite land due to the famine, it said they married Moabite women. And then so it says that.
Yeah, Khan, it does say that they married women from the land of Moab.
And then when they
women that were
left,
native
they
to
said
the land.
she left. She said, "Stay here with your gods." Naomi asked her to stay there with her gods, but she wanted to come with her.
Right, and then, we understand that the men were dealing with the women of the other nation as well. But I just, to me, like it just like what stands out to me is how quick the other Moabite, Naomi's other daughter-in-law was so quick to go back, but something in Ruth was like, no, like I will go, with you. And she was just so loyal, so determined. Like, I just don't, because that's like, no matter what, heathens can't keep no laws whatsoever. And the fact that she was just so obedient, I just keep thinking, about Romans, the whole grafting in, other Israelites who lost their heritage. To me, it just seems based on how everything was done by the law, I just don't see how she could be a Moabite. But I mean, I would love to further discuss that, if you guys are interested in, I don't know, maybe discussing it further.
Yep. That's the blessing. Figure it all out. Is that the last presentation?
All right, sisters. So so all accounts got brought out that was gonna get brought out tonight.
I do believe so.
All right, that concludes it. So with all this being said, we should learn from our foremothers, their ways, take on their characteristics, their traits that makes them these righteous, virtuous women. We should just learn from them. And those that made mistakes, learn what not to do. So that's what all this was about. So hopefully this was edifying to sisters. Shalom to everybody on the live tuning in. I hope it was edifying. Somebody learned something new tonight. Hopefully it reached one person. Yeah, that's it. Shalom, sisters. All praises to the Most High. Everybody did a good job tonight.
Blessings. Shalom.
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 Shalom.